Welcome into Leading Off, everybody, right here on Fantasy Pros, the home of fantasy sports. It is me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia. That's Dan Harris, and we're here with you on this fine day, taking you through the night that was in Major League Baseball and the night yet to come in Major League Baseball. In Dan Harris, we've got a little pinstripe panic going on in the rotation. We've got a Marlins onslaught of runs, which I wouldn't expect too much of today. We'll get to that later on in the show when we hit our DFS. And some more questions about some higher-end starting pitchers already floating around. Dan Harris, I hope you've had time to think about all this, and I hope you had your second cup of coffee, because it's time to start the show, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm ready for it. By the way, I love, we talk about it. We stream the show live. You might be listening on your podcast app. We stream the show live on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/FantasyProsMLB. And I love it because we have like all these guys who are commenting on here live, and we try to incorporate some of the comments. So this is great. I love it. Let's do it.
And you know what? We appreciate. We're going to try to get to more of these comments. Last week, we were just trying to set everything up, get everything running. Yesterday, we did get to some questions. Yep. So if you've got questions, make sure you set the appointment viewing. Make sure you're subscribing to the podcast on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, Fantasy Pros MLB. And that way you can get in on the fun on, 9 o'clock in the morning. If you're at work or not at work or whatever you're doing or working from home, it's the perfect thing. As someone said yesterday, we are the morning routine for some people, which is at one point very lovely and flattering. Another point, I'm worried about them. I want to make sure that they're okay. Yeah. All right. So let's get after it, and let's start with the good and the bad from last night, because we are the kings of keeping it real. Shane Bieber, pretty good. Shane Bieber, 70 FanDuel points. Would you believe that I had Shane Bieber in 2 FanDuel lineups yesterday and did not cash in either one with the 70? This is so sad. And I will be the loser lounge today and talk about it. Now, I hope everybody else did. I'm sure most of you did if you listened to me and started Bieber. I was on the wrong side of the St. Louis game. I had the Washington side. Yeah. That did not work out, Dan. So loser lounge for me, and that's okay. That's cool. The Dodgers were the good chalk yesterday, too. We talked about them. Yep. That worked out. The bad, again, I was on the wrong side. St. Louis kind of exploded. We could also talk about Strasburg being bad, too. We kind of got into a false sense of security, maybe, with Strasburg. Castillo also getting questions already about him today. Look, he still struck out 7 guys, didn't walk anybody. He gave up some bombs, okay? He gave up a couple home runs. Give it time. It's April. If anything, he is the perfect trade target, because I look at the K-walk ratio, and that's always the number one thing for me. Are you getting guys out? Are you striking guys out? Are you walking people? Are you struggling with the control? Don't worry about it. I think this is just an anomaly, bad stretch, but when it's always at the front of a season, Dan, it tends to get a little bit of hyper-focus.
Yeah, there were a lot of pitchers who did bad yesterday. Castillo in particular is somebody who I'm not in any way worried about. I think it's fair to worry about a couple of these guys, but not Castillo. This is kind of what you sign up for with Castillo, right? Because, his whip is never pristine or anything like that. There are going to be bad outings. Yesterday wasn't even terrible. I think it was 4 runs over 5 innings, 7 strikeouts, as you mentioned. So Castillo is not a guy I'm shying away from. I have really, right now, I see nothing in there that gives me any concern. So hang tight with him for sure.
All right, let's talk about when good pitchers go bad, which sounds like a Dateline NBC show.
I know.
What happens when a starter is acquired and good pitchers go bad?
It's true.
Max Fried, not good. 8 runs, 7 earned, 4 innings last night against the Marlins offense, of all things. Now he's undergoing an MRI for the hamstring, but this was a guy who was beat up a little last year too, and I got to tell you, I was very, very pro Max Fried going into 2020, and then I didn't have a lot of shares, couldn't get him. I got 1 or 2, I think, last year. But going into this season, because he had the injury last year, I was just a little skeptical. So I kind of backed off a little bit. And so far, I'm glad that I did. But are you troubled at all? Because I'm getting a ton of Max Fried questions. I'm sure you are as well. Yeah. What to do here? Do you have to just sit and wait and hope for the best?
Well, I am concerned for sure. And again, I'm worried now about the hamstring. But right. to be clear, that did not. I don't believe that factored into the performance, because I think he hurt that in the 4th inning, and that's after he gave up all the runs. So to the extent you want to dismiss it because of the hamstring, I don't think that's what happened. I think that happened afterwards. So I'm worried about the hamstring. My guess is he'll go on the IL, just because, again, it's 10 days regardless. But even without it, I am. I ranked him. He was, of course, the highest of the Braves starters for me, but I don't have any shares of him. And a lot of it was because he did outperform his expectations last year. I don't love what I'm seeing now. I'm not running away. I'm not throwing him out the window or anything like that, but I would not be looking to trade for him regardless of the hamstring injury, because there are a ton of guys who are ranked right around where he is, who I'd much prefer. I mean, I'd much prefer Luis Castillo at this point, without question.
Yes.
But we would have coming into the season as well. But again, he's not a guy who, based on last year, outperformed his expectations anyway. He's just not a guy who I'm targeting in trades.
All right, let's move on to another pitcher that we just kind of touched on briefly, which is Steven Strasburg. Not a good look for him last night. 8 runs, 7 earned, 4 innings against the Cards. Again, it's an April start. I don't want to take too much of it because he had looked pretty good. So I don't want to go too crazy here. Once again, if somebody has a bad start who you think is an elite pitcher, it's a perfect time to start kind of kicking the tires on somebody. Now, and Strasburg has more downside than others because of his injury track record being what it is, and that's fair. But at the same time, if I'm a Strasburg rosterer, which I think is not a word, but I just made it one.
It's fine.
I think what we want to do is we want to just sit and hold and just say we took our lump this week. It's gonna suck. Hope that the next time out's going to be better. I want to say if he does pitch again this week, it would be against Arizona in my head. So that certainly is a get right start as far as I'm concerned.
Well, there are a couple things, though, with Strasburg that the velocity was down pretty significantly, and he barely threw his fastball. He couldn't make it work. He was going to a lot of his off-speed stuff. They caught him in, that he complained about it afterwards. The camera caught him in the tunnel, rubbing his neck, rubbing his shoulder. But it did seem like if he were hurt, they would have pulled him. They just kept throwing him back out there, which was weird. One thing, and again, we don't know about this because teams don't make this public. I know the Nats, Dave Martinez said that the Nats got COVID shots, their vaccines, on Monday. He didn't say which player. He didn't say which players. We don't know if it were Strasburg or not. If it were, though, that might explain why A, he just maybe wasn't at his best, and B, why they weren't pulling him, because it did seem pretty obvious that he was struggling a little bit. So I thought they might pull him earlier. The fact that they didn't, maybe it was all vaccine related. So I'm holding for now. But if it wasn't, if he didn't get it, then he's got something because his velocity was way down, and I would be concerned. But for now, wait and see.
Who needs Ken Rosenthal when we have Dan Harris? I mean,
I'm right here.
MLB insider Dan
right
Harris.
There.
Unbelievable. I wish you would wear the bow tie on the show. That's the only thing.
Maybe I
just
will.
wish you would wear the bow tie. All right, Blake Snell, 2/3 of an inning, 3 runs against the Pirates. Jesus Luzardo, 2 innings, 5 runs against the D-backs. And let's just throw this out there. Let's throw Tyon into this mix too, because the Yankees sent down Herman. They got Kluber going. They've got Tyon, who looked good previously to start, now not so much. I mean, look, the Yankee rotation right now I think is a huge concern, as it should have been going into the season, which is why when we saw that massive win total on Betting Pros, you and I were kind of saying, let's pump the brakes a little bit on this Yankee win total, because it's the starting pitching that really is concerning. And I think you need good starting pitching and deep starting pitching to get to, through that 162 up into that upper 90, low 100 region. They can still win this division. It's just a matter of that is a very lofty goal, and you're paying the Yankee premium. But any of those guys you want to take a shot on here and talk about?
I mean, I think Tyon I would probably hold if I could, but if you had to move on, that's fine. But I would try to hold him. Blake Snell, I'm kind of just throwing it out as to a random, terrible start where he couldn't really control anything. Luzardo, I'm fine. I'm holding. I wish he would throw his fastball a little less. He is just pumping that out like 65% of the time. That's not what his bread and butter is. He needs to mix it up. But overall, none of those guys I'm worried about at this point.
All right, let's talk about when good pitchers go good. I like this. See, we took something and then we flipped it around and made it something else, because that's what we do. Shane Bieber, 9 innings, no runs, just 11 strikouts against the White Sox. He's so good.
Ridiculous.
In my home league, I offered Chris Meany a trade the other day that involved, and it's a dynasty, kind of a format there, basically a keeper. And I said, here, I'll give you Scherzer, Torkelson, Vaughn, and Wander Franco, and Tristan McKenzie for Bieber, right? Because of the way the salary structure. And he's like, that's a lot, but I don't know if I can do it. I still think I could back
untradeable.
Up the truck, and I just couldn't do it. Lucas Giolito, 7 innings, no runs, 8 Ks against Cleveland. Flaherty, 5 innings of his own, 6 Ks. He was good. Brandon Woodruff was good, 6 Ks against the Cubs. Ryu was good against the Yankees. I love this. I love every time Ryu's good, because I was so mad when everybody just kind of left him for dead last year when he went to Toronto. It's like they didn't watch the guy pitch. And although the second half in 2019 wasn't as good as the first half, nobody could sustain the first half. The first half was that great. He wore it down a little bit, not a lot. It was great to see Zach Gallen back on the mound. He was dominant as ever against the A's. 8 strikeouts in just 4 innings. Of course, we know what happened after that. Turns out you can still troll the Diamondbacks. Even yesterday, when I thought, well, with Gallen, I might stop that a little bit. No, you just keep trolling the D-backs when you're wagering. Matthew Boyd, 6 innings, 4 Ks for him. Trevor Bauer, 9 Ks, no earned runs with one eye opened. holding his pillow tight, exit light, exit. He had the other one eye, I guess. Last night he was doing it again, I heard. So, oh, Trevor Bauer. So let's talk about Matthew Boyd. Is he good?
I guess so. I always come back to our friends at Pitcher List, Nick and Alex, and they're the Boyd boys, and they have been there. I watch him. I mean, I like what I see. He always has the good slider. He's working in the changeup right now. I'm pretty encouraged. I'm not ready to quote buy high, but I'm not selling him. Like, I'm not trying to sell him higher than I bought him right now. I would look to hold if I had him, because a lot of what I'm seeing kind of looks good now. He's on a terrible team. Hopefully he gets dealt. Although, I mean, the way they're hitting now, who knows? But I'm holding right now because I do think a lot of what he's doing is legitimate.
Fernando Lozada says Dan Harris needs to wear a shirt with a bow tie tomorrow. Just want to point
that
out.
All right, there. I'm in. So, I got one.
There you go. I don't have a bow tie. Actually, it's funny. My daughter just asked me that the other day. She goes, "Do you have a bow tie?" I said, "No, I don't."
Need at least 6 bow ties. At least 6 at all times. Okay, get on that.
Tie in. And by the way, I can't believe Marcus Stroman was not on this sheet today. The Mets won not one, but 2 games.
He's on it in a little bit. Don't you worry.
But
we
not in this section.
April victory laps, my friend.
April victory laps.
April victory laps.
So good. I hope everyone enjoyed my Metallica song about Trevor Bauer today, by the way. Just, throwing that out there. All right. Let's move on. April victory laps. Oh, look, he's the first guy. There you go. I mean, gone past him.
Who else? There is nobody. The fact that he is a Met horrifies me, because again, I just am natural, as my wife and my kids are understanding. When they were ahead yesterday in the first game of the doubleheader, my son at dinner asked, he's like, "Oh, what's the score of the Mets game?" And I said, "Oh, they're up 2-1, so they're going to lose 4-2." And my wife was like, "What are you doing to the
Why are you doing this to your son? Why are you doing this?"
That is true. That's what I think about the Mets. But Stroman is great. Now, the strikeouts, again, same thing. The first start, 3 strikeouts. The second start, 3 strikeouts. He, by the way, could have had the complete game of the 7-inning variety because it was a doubleheader, but he was on the bases too long. I'm a little, I don't think he's going to be like the Cy Young. The strikeouts just aren't there. I was kind of hoping that they'd be there.
He's never been a big strikeout guy.
It's true, but I thought with the addition of the split change that maybe it would come this year. But there is something, really, if you want to know why I love Stroman, there is a hard hit ball in the 6th inning, like a shot to short, and Lindor just gobbles it up and turns a double play. Where if you're last year, that's probably a base hit and the inning.
With Rosario at shortstop, absolutely, 100%. His lack of range was stunning at times, and how everyone kept telling me he's a good shortstop, I don't understand it. But Stroman, to me, even in Toronto days, was a pitch to contact kind of guy.
Yes,
he was more of a guy who, look. Let's also realize that 2 of his starts have been against the Phillies, so same
Very
team
true.
here. So let's see how some other we've also, seen him a little bit more potentially, when he was first acquired a couple years ago. Let's see how he fares around the rest of the league a little bit, who have seen him less.
But that's why it's April victory laps. April victory laps. They're meaningless, but we take them, but we can.
I'll take one with the Mets too. How about Brandon Nimmo? How about that one? I love this. Yes. What's the OBP? 581. That's right. You love that Brandon Nimmo, the OBP leagues, don't you? Don't you?
Don't you wish? Great. He looks great, Joe. He looks great. He's not, the big thing with him is he doesn't hit for power, and he doesn't really steal, but I mean, he's going to give you right now. I mean, he's batting .435. That's not going to continue or anything like that. He will get on base.
He's not Ted Williams.
He maybe, you never know, but he will score a ton of runs. And that's a neglected category in fantasy, right? People don't think about the runs scored aspect of it, but he is. You saw it. They're not going to move him down at this point against lefties. They got to leave him up there. He gets on base, so really good call by you. I'm liking what I'm seeing there.
Look, what Dan's saying is Brandon Nimmo is nothing special except the fact that he is really good at getting on base.
Yes.
And in fantasy, that usually equates to runs or points. And that is a skill. And the contact's a skill. Getting on base is a skill. Walking is a good skill. And he does have moderate pop, moderate speed where he can help you other places. It was all about the cost. And you know what? You're right. He's going to hit a bad streak at some point. Just hold. It's fine. All right. Give me some closer news here, because I know you can't get enough of this, so give me the Tuesday closer happenings.
This is what I feel like everybody wants to hear about, because they're chasing saves. There was a lot yesterday. Julian Merriweather, everybody's favorite guy, actually looked like he was going to be the guy. Came in the 8th, was going to come back out for the 9th, but unfortunately he was removed with hip irritation. I don't know what that means, but if you have Jordan Romano and you have not dropped him yet, I would hold him, because it looks like it could be an IL stint for Merriweather coming up. Rafael Montero had his 3rd blown save of the season. It was in the first game of that doubleheader, so it was in the 7th inning. But Kendall Graveman, he has yet to allow a run. He looked good last year. He is a guy who you might want to stash there. James Karinchak did save yesterday's game with Bieber, even though Bieber threw 9 innings. You still needed a save because it went to 10. And again, Emmanuel Clase had thrown, I think, each of the last 2 days. So I wouldn't read too much into it yet, but I wouldn't go dropping Karinchak if I rostered him. Lou Trevino got the save for the A's, and I think he faced 2 lefties in that game. So it does look like he's going to be the guy there. And Matt Barnes, finally, there was a save for the Red Sox. Matt Barnes got it. Matt Barnes, by the way, he looked amazing in the spring. He looks amazing right now. Sure. So he is the guy. If you were holding Adam Ottavino because there was no official closer designation, drop him. Matt Barnes is the guy there and looks pretty safe.
Akil Baddoo homered again yesterday, too. We talked about him yesterday on the show as a nice lineup builder asset. Crazy. Still cheap. We don't know why he's still cheap, but he is. Yeah. And just keep riding this wave, man. I mean, he is a strong young man. That's all I can tell you. Like that,
and he's fun to watch, by the way. It's good for baseball, right? If for the name, if for no other reason, it's just fantastic.
Duvall had 2 dingers yesterday, 7 RBI. We also know Albie started to hit 2, which we talked about. The whole Ozzy Albies thing. He's like, hey, look, he's under 3.
And Ozuna, by the way. Ozuna as well.
Which we also talked about yesterday. It's like, look, they're streaky guys. This is the time in DFS to buy in on them if they're killing you in season long, because it's going to turn around, and hopefully you can make a little money off the downside that you've had experience in season long with them. You take advantage of the good players at low salaries. Case in point, Rafael Devers, a guy we talked about last week, right? Was it 4 straight games now with a home run for Rafi D? And on Sunday, I did a big highlight on Sports Grid TV about him. I said, look, next week, ride this wave. He's only around 3K. By the end of the week, he's probably going to be at 4 because that's what Rafael Devers is, and that's who he is. And sure enough, that's where we are. Mookie Betts returned from his back injury, and he hit a home run. Mike Trout struck out 4 times for the first time in 5 seasons. So what do you do now? You just
drop him. Drop him. Done.
Drop Mike Trout.
Out.
All right. Let's take a question from the gallery here. Mr. Freeze would like to know, would you move Strasburg, McNeil, and I guess Kenley Jansen for a Rosarena and I believe Kikuchi is what he's saying. I don't know. I think I'm going to hold Strasburg personally and just wait it out.
No, for sure. That's the definition of selling low. By the way, good shameless plug. Tonight, I will be writing my trade chart article, so you can have that answer tomorrow morning when you look at it and you see everybody's values. And my guess is that will be a no. You should hold, especially don't sell low on Strasburg there.
Yeah, and pick up Class A, yes. Pick up Class B, pick up all the class you can. God knows this show needs a little bit more class once in a while.
That's true.
All right, let's continue on here with what we've got on the slate. And Paul Goldschmidt been struggling. Sarah Langs from MLB noted that yesterday's game, he actually led the league in most hard hit balls. So this is a great buy low target. Nolan Arenado hit another home run. And another guy nobody wanted in our tout auction there, 326 383/581.
So I want to say something about that because I did not understand that how much, and again, it's early, but I did not understand how much he got just from the trade. But I understand that you cannot look at these guys' numbers, players who play in Colorado for their careers and then they leave. You can't look at their home road splits because it takes a little while to adjust when you play in Colorado and then go on the road. So their road numbers are usually going to be worse. Arenado is a great player. I had him ranked pretty high coming into the year, so I'm happy about that. This is a guy who I'm very, very glad to see is doing well in St. Louis.
Me too. And you needed any convincing. You had LeMahieu. You had Corey Dickerson. You've had this happen before. Yes. I don't understand. There are some guys who are kind of proud. And again, Arenado was coming off a bad year, from last year. So I think people were just looking for an excuse. But I dropped him a little, of course, out of Colorado. But still, I think with him and with Goldschmidt, who also homered yesterday. That's the thing. That tweet that Sarah Langs had was before yesterday. Then everybody hit on Strasburg, of course. But 3 RBIs and a home run yesterday. I'm buying Goldie, which by the way you were on in the spring for sure. Yeah. You were higher on him than I was. Well, because line of protection is so under discussed in fantasy baseball coverage. There's a few things that very much go under discussed because they aren't great nerd topics. It's a real baseball topic, which is line of protection matters, which is seeing fastballs more often for good hitters is going to eventually lead to good things, which is why I was high on Victor Robles, which is still why I'm waiting that out. Yep. He's not Paul Goldschmidt, but I think it's a conversation we all have to have and say, okay, well, now that you've given Goldschmidt, who we're kind of, not souring on, but less on, but now you're bumping him up with Arenado, these two guys together, this is a great scenario for them. And look, there's going to be highs and lows. It's a baseball season. But overall, I think it's going to be better. A low for Teoscar Hernandez. He tested positive for COVID-19, so he's going to be missing some time. Josh Donaldson should return today. We'll see how long he stays on the field. You want to take an over-under 3 games on Josh Donaldson? Over-under for Josh Donaldson.
I'll go over. I think it gets to 4. I think it gets
Gets
to
to
4.
4. God,
Yeah.
you're pushing the envelope there.
I
Will
know.
Myers left yesterday's game with inflammation in his right knee.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on that lineup and see what the adjustments that are made. I want to take a break in the show to tell you about our sponsor, Manscaped. That's right, the Lawnmower 3.0 is out there. It's trusted by over 2 million men worldwide, and I'm one of that million or 2 million or whatever it is. I've got the Lawnmower 3.0. It's an awesome tool. And again, I know something about being called an awesome tool. I've been called that many times, a tool in my life. So why Manscaped? Well, it's got the redesigned electric trimmer that really has been spent 18 months perfecting, the greatest ball trimmer ever, the greatest chest hair trimmer ever, back hair, whatever you need. 3rd generation trimmer, cutting edge ceramic blade technology, advanced skin safe technology to protect all of your parts. And we all know it's got that special thing. What do we like? The quiet stroke motor. That's right, the quiet stroke, 7,000 glorious RPMs to take care of your you-know-what. So if you want to get involved with manscaped.com, make sure you go there and get 20% off and free shipping with the code LEADINGOFF. That's all one word, leading off, because you love the show. And we're going to help you not only with your baseball leagues, but with your balls, just period. So get 20% off and free shipping with the code LEADINGOFF at manscaped.com. Trust us, your balls will thank you. Now, speaking of balls in the air, tonight we've got 7 games in the MLB DFS slate, and that is a great segue. So tonight, keeping it simple. There's not a lot of games tonight, 7 games. Yep. It's enough to kind of dance with, but you got to be careful. The first thing that popped out to me, what looks good that's safe, is the Braves. I know the Marlins scored 14 runs yesterday, but momentum's only as good as the next day's starting pitcher, and today's starting pitcher for the Braves is Charlie Morton. I like Morton. He's 8.5. That's a very reasonable salary for Charlie Morton. I would go with Morton over May, over Wheeler, over McCullers on single pitcher slate on FanDuel, and on DK, he's only 7.6. So you can get May or Wheeler or McCullers and Charlie Morton very comfortably. Charlie Morton should be 100% owned. I don't care. And it's funny, yesterday, Dan, Bieber, I want to say he was only 14% rostered in the major tournaments that I was in. And that is telling, because remember we talked about, sometimes the guy at the very top almost becomes the oppo play because people say, oh, I can't possibly make that work and get everything I want. But guess what? The guy that won the tournament last night had the Cardinals and Bieber. So there you have it. So
well, yesterday too, to be fair, there were a lot of really good pitching options, right? So many good pitching options. So it's tough there. Tonight, less so. I agree with you, though, that Morton would be the guy that I would go with over McCullers. I love McCullers, but, McCullers almost
I'm dancing again. I'm back with McCullers again
Are
tonight.
you? All right.
I am. It's the Tigers.
Yep.
I got to do it. It's the Tigers. It's the Tigers. It's the Tigers. I keep telling myself. Last year he had a sub 2 ERA at home. I'm gonna give McCullers a hey, mulligan on last start. Let's go again. Houston needs to heat up a little bit. I'm gonna plant the flag there, but Morton is the better play in the single pitcher slate. I'm just saying. McCullers is the guy that I would play on DK along with. I'm not gonna go Wheeler against the Mets. May is fine. It's safe. It's okay against the Dodgers. They always have good win equity. But give me Charlie Morton.
There's also rain in a lot of these forecasts, but are you sure that you want to tangle with McCullers with major league home run leader Wilson Ramos going on over there? By the way, we didn't mention that one. Two more dongs yesterday. He's got 6 on the year. Crazy. But yeah, no, I hear you. McCullers at home, usually a good play. I am going to go with Morton here. Right now, the forecast is that the wind's going to be blowing out a little bit. Makes me a little nervous. But again, I think I don't mind targeting these teams like the Marlins that don't have a very good offense, but are coming off a night where they went nuts, because I feel like there's always going to be like a letdown the next day. So I'm going to go with Morton for my guy.
All right, we got your 4 outcome game too if you really want to get nuts. All right, tonight we got Zach Plesac, who already Dan always has mixed feelings about, against Carlos Rodon, who we love. Now this is tricky because these are 2 teams where you have these 2 pitchers going against each other.
Yep.
This is a 4 outcome game, which I tend to stay away from, because you could see one of these 2 pitchers having a great day. You could have both of them possibly implode, or both of them being really good and then suppressing all the offense too. So to me, that's not a good investment game in any stretch. Now, in your opinion, do you want to pick a side and play on this? Because if you pick the side and pick right, it does become a separator. And both of these guys you can make a case for, especially on the pitching side, that you can do well. And ironically, on FanDuel, they're the same price. They're 8.3.
Right. Yeah, I'm staying away. I mean,
Okay.
I am. Look, I don't love Zach Plesac as a general matter,
I'm
but I
well aware
can't
of
deny
this.
it's been against the Tigers, both of his first two starts, but I can't deny that he has been successful right now. So I want to wait and see what I do with there. And Rodon has looked fantastic. He was scratched with the stomach bug the other day, but he's been fantastic. But I don't have enough confidence in either one of these guys, considering, again, they're the same price basically as Morton. Morton's $200 more to go with either pitcher. And I'm just this is a game where I'm just kind of staying away on all sides of it.
If Charlie Morton fails, I'll come back here tomorrow and take my lumps. I will.
Oh, yeah, me
in
too.
terms of stacks, Atlanta, I'm definitely in on Atlanta today.
Yep.
I forget who they're going against in Miami too.
Nick Nieder?
Niner?
Did I catch a niner in there?
I think there was a niner in there 9 times.
Yeah.
And then you've got, I think Houston's in play as well.
Against Fulmer, it's got to be.
Fulmer's
look good, by the way.
I was going to say, Fulmer has actually pitched well. I just don't know what's in that tank in terms of innings tonight. There's also
that's the thing. Correct.
There's some sneaky stacks in there too. Seattle, Baltimore, if indeed the weather holds out. And then the other one is Texas and Tampa, which, now that they've made that adjustment to the lineup where Meadows has gone up to the top again, which is probably the right thing to do. You also got the opener tonight for Tampa, which means a lot of people will automatically just start to fade Gallo and guys like that. But I wouldn't do that, because those guys are going to get shots later on this game. Nick Solak is just 2.8 on FanDuel, 3.5 on DK. Other lineup builder guys, Segura on both sides is cheap. He's 2.2 on FanDuel, 3.7 on DK. McCutcheon's 3.7 against Peterson tonight. Those are two good righty bats on the Phillies. Albies is still 2.9, and Gavin Lux and Pollock are 2.4 for the Dodgers. So there's guys there you could build those lineups with, but it's a little bit more wide open than yesterday. Yesterday was tricky.
Yep. No, I agree. I mean, the Braves guys, Ozuna is still too cheap on FanDuel, 2.8. Albies is 2.9. Those guys are going to be in my lineups for sure. But Houston is where I'm going to attack. Again, you mentioned it. Even if Fulmer is actually going to continue to pitch as well as he has looked the last couple of times he's been out, he's not going to be long for that game. So once you get into the bullpen, that's fine. And they're angry, man. The one thing I would be careful at is Dusty Baker did mention a couple of guys are like Altuve and Brantley are dealing with like tired legs or something like that. So just watch what the lineup is. But anybody who's in there, and my home run call of the night is going to come from that game.
I'm pretty sure Mickey Mantle played with no tendons in his knees.
He's fine. Come on, rub some dirt on it.
I mean, get out there. Tired legs. He's got a little restless leg syndrome. He's not gonna. He's day to day. Here's a great question from the peanut gallery here.
Yeah.
Would you drop Corey Kluber for Wade Miley?
Oh. No, I would not drop you, Joe, for Wade Miley. Look, I'm not. I don't think you have to hold Kluber. I'm going to put that out there right now. His velocity is down. His control is all over the place. I am not like buying Corey Kluber, but do not buy the Wade Miley experiment. We have seen it before. Okay, he will have some good starts, but just when you think he's safe, I think you mentioned it, Joe. Just when you think he's safe, he's going to give up 11 billion runs and destroy your ERA. So do not do that.
Also getting a ton of questions on Chris Paddock. I know. Everybody, look, there's only one thing. I'm going to reiterate this. This is what we do in Chris Paddock this week. We're going to take the start against the Pirates. We're going to see what happens. If he pitches well, this is your chance to get out because you think he's a 2-pitch pitcher and all these things. Don't get sucked into a false sense of security here. This is your out window where somebody goes, oh, Paddock's turning things around, and maybe not paid too much attention to the game log, and you might be able to deal him. And if he fails against the Pirates, then we can sit here and have the conversation about what to do next. Let's get through this start first. I think that's the way to go. One thing left to do is to call our shot. Let's pick our home run calls. We are still over. I'm still miserable about this. I'm going to go first today. Freddie Freeman. Let's go. I'm sticking with the Braves. All the Freddie Freeman, all the Charlie Morton tonight. That's every lineup with Joey P is starting that way today. So that's where I'm going. Dan, where are you starting for your home run call of the night?
I'm going to go with Yordan Alvarez. I do think that he is going to go. By the way, my call yesterday for the home run was Justin Upton, who got scratched from lineup. Oddly enough, I replaced him because it was a late scratch. So I saw it. So I got Marcell Ozuna in there. He wasn't my home run call, but he did homer last night. So I'm taking that as like a personal victory, even if none of our listeners benefited from it. But tonight, Yordan Alvarez, that's my call. I think he goes deep off Fulmer.
You have one unofficial home run. I'll give you an unofficial, but it doesn't count. You got to do it on the show. If the guy's got tired legs and doesn't play, that's what
fair.
It is. All right,
Very fair.
I've got tired legs, so we're gonna take a break. Hopefully, we'll be back tomorrow, and my legs will be refreshed, and Dan will be refreshed too. We'll be at our alternate site until we're back again. And again, if you want to get involved here with us, make sure you go to Fantasy Pros MLB, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and subscribe to Leading Off because you know every single day we're going to be here Monday through Friday doing this show live. I also want to urge everybody to go to manscaped.com and save 20% off your order and free shipping when you use the code Leading Off. And don't forget, boys and girls, Ronald Acuna autographed jersey is still available all month long. Go to Apple Podcasts or CastBox. All you got to do is drop a nice little review, screenshot it, go fill out the form at www.fantasypros.com/MLB contest. Again, that's fantasypros.com/MLB contest. You take your review, you fill out the form, and boom, just like that, you're automatically entered free to win a Ronald Acuna autographed jersey thanks to our friends at pristineauction.com. That'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on. For Dan Harris, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.